The dog run loose? Yes. It's always run loose. Right. Just a small correction.
And I've got shiny trousers on for you.
I've never seen you looking this good. This is almost like you're going to a wedding. I'm frightened.
Right.
Well, luckily my house isn't on this electricity supply. 5th of July, Friday. This should have been the first day of combining. As you can see with the concrete, it's wet. It's rained this morning, really disappointing. We tried the oilseed rape last night. It was 12%. We were hoping with some sun that would come down very quickly to 9%. That's when we have to start cutting oilseed rape. Anything above 9% then would get a charge at the other end for drying, or we would have to dry. And we typically like drying at the beginning of the season to get going, not at the end. So we were hoping actually we would have got going, combines would have done. There's 3 of the 4 combines are ready, 1 combine isn't. We've got the air compressor bins, which we haven't quite finished off, mainly because I'm not happy with the fact they're gone rusty. So as it's rained, we're going to strip them down, respray them, and then we'll put the air compressors in them and get them ready to go off with the combines. They're numbered as well, so each individual person has their own compressor to maintain and look after over the summer. Chaser bins, they're pretty much ready. We're just putting the last fire pump on one and just getting them all valeted up. We've got Burley Hydraulics here. They're just helping us to round off a couple of jobs where we've got air pipes to fix. We've got some hydraulic pipes where we're crimping and we've got an issue. And also the digger this morning, which is why we actually called them in. 2 pipes had gone on the digger, which prevented the bucket from hitching on and off and stopped Chris from digging the trenches ready to put the electrics in for the solar. This is a Pecky idea. So the idea is you carry these boxes on the front of the combines on the linkage. So when you go between farms down the road or you can carry your air compressor with you. So we bolt the air compressors inside, lid comes over, has all the pipe work in it, etc. And he drops it off in the field where he's going to start and then puts on his header. And then each morning they can go to their own compressor and blow down. They haven't got to wait for somebody to turn up to blow them down. They've got their own. And each combine has these boxes. We built them last year and they've already gone rusty. So we're just going to rub them down now. We're going to repaint them and then we'll re-sticker them up. It's a shame they've gone rusty within 11 months. So part of when we're running a farm business, we have to rely on outside help at different times, and we've got to surround ourselves with the right people. And they're often people, you know, who'll come out of hours, not during a normal 8-hour day. They'll come out 7 days a week, bank holidays. And Burley Hydraulics, for example, George, he comes and looks after us. Whichever farm we're at, he'll drive to us. And 24/7, so that you have to be on a rota, don't you, and get up at night?
Yes, we do. One week on, 1 week off.
Right, okay. So George has done a couple of projects with us, and just this morning he's just going to fix the Volvo digger, where we've broken the pipes yet again. It's about the 6th time we broke these pipes, and Chris is now going to dig out a load of trenching for the solar panels. So we've just come to the Bowser, which George built for me quickly in a hurry in August last year. We've just made a modification. You did it last week, didn't you?
Yeah, did you?
Yeah. So let's have a quick look. You can show me what you've done. So it looks like spaghetti currently, and mainly because I didn't want to pay for a manifold system, so I can't blame George for this. But the concept is that you've got the fuel here, and it's sucking out of the fuel through the meter, so we know exactly how much we're taking, into the pump, and we've blown this seal out in here, and we've got a new seal coming. And that was the problem. We kept blowing the seals because whenever they let go of the gun, when they were filling, the pressure kept building up and eventually found the weakest spot and was blowing the seals out. So George has now come and fitted us a pressure relief valve here.
Yes.
What's that set at?
That is set at, it doesn't release back through the gun.
So that you had to calibrate it.
Calibrate it.
Okay. So when we let go of this, that'll build up and then that'll go back into tank.
Yes.
Yeah, as opposed to blowing the seals out, because we effectively had to, it was a 2-man before. Yes. You had to have somebody filling, somebody stood here ready to turn the power off, and if they didn't, the time he got back down to it, he could have blown the seal.
That's it.
Which is a problem. So, and we've got the double filter system going in, and it actually works really well. It's supposed to pump about 300 to 400 litres a minute, just to put it into perspective. And there's a quick service trailer we built. And when I'm looking at it now, I'm thinking we're going to have to come up with this manifold. I'm going to have to feel a bit flush from a good harvest, aren't I? But no, it works well. And you did that tank for me in the yard as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
So it's not just hydraulics you're doing fuels,
Air
hydraulics,
well. Yeah,
and air.
Do air as well,
Yeah.
and Mac stuff as well, yeah.
Yeah, well, we broke an airline, so I better show you that while you're here before you go home. So this van is currently four-wheel drive, so this means you can come out to us in the middle of the fields, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. In the middle of combining, you can come to wherever we are. And apparently Chris has already eyed up this van. He's fallen out of love with. Is this a Ford?
No, this is a Volkswagen Craft.
Oh, right. He's trying to warm me up now. He's fallen out of love with the Ford after we've had to have a new engine. So, yeah. And you're basically carrying all the pipes, all the connections, and you're making all the connections here, aren't you?
Yes.
In your van.
Yeah.
So, is there anything you can't fix?
Not really.
And it doesn't matter what machine you work on. You can go on a digger, you can go on a trailer on a lorry, for example. You can go on a combine.
Everything.
Anything basically which is hydraulic.
Yes.
And have you picked up the skills over how many years?
10 years I think we've been doing it.
You've been doing this, yeah.
10 years.
So it doesn't phase you if you have to go work on one of our challenges, for example, and get the pipe underneath?
No, not really.
Crumbs.
Dirty the better.
Really?
Yeah.
I did notice how nice and clean your trousers are.
I got made to wear these.
Is that right? And effectively, one of the main things for us is we can't stock all these parts.
No.
Because you've got this spray, you've got then a set of rolls, you've got that, for example, and it's just different pipe after different pipe. And then you've got the American tractors, for example, they're on the Imperial. Mm-hmm. And then you've got some of the German manufactured stuff as their metric.
Yep.
So there's your next problem.
Yes, sir.
And how many different connections are there in hydraulics? A lot.
Yes.
A lot.
Too many to count.
Is it that bad?
Yeah, there's quite a few.
It's amazing it hasn't actually become metric and one size across everything.
Thought over the years it would have
It would have adapted, but it hasn't, has it?
No.
Because we've often looked at having our own kits, especially with Simon being our engineer, of actually having our own. But actually, the reality is we've got to stock so much stuff.
Yeah, the grand scheme of
And then his van isn't big enough to carry the hydraulics as well as all the other stuff.
No, that is it.
Yeah, so good to have a specialised service on board.
That's it.
So why do we use people like Burley Hydraulics? Is effectively because time is money in this industry, especially when you've got all the combines out in the field during harvest. You've got the chaser bins, then you've got the lorries. If you've got 8 lorry drivers, for example, you've got 4 guys on chaser bins, you've got 4 combines, you've then got 4 people back here at the grain store. So the knock-on effect when suddenly we've got key pieces of equipment going down is a real problem for us, and it starts to rack up in cost. So we've got to surround ourselves with the right people who can effectively, at the drop of a phone call, will turn up day or night and help us, and in all weathers. And that's why having a four-wheel drive van is important, so they can get across the fields to wherever we are, because breakdowns generally don't happen in the most convenient of places. And the fact actually, because they're based at St Neots, it's not far for them to come down to Cambridge, Lincolnshire or Bedford, so they'll do all of those areas and look after us. It also works for us because they're the same guys who are looking after the same team members, so they build up a rapport and a relationship, and they can start working together and getting the job fixed as quickly as possible, because that's really the objective, is making sure we give them the right information. We take a picture, we can send it to them on WhatsApp of what the part is if we don't know, and then they can make sure they bring the right part with them. And if it's out of hours, these guys are often coming directly from home. So of course it's important they've got those parts on the van, so they've got to have the vans well stocked so that they can come directly to us from wherever they live, as opposed to having the delay of going to the depot then coming to us. So no, we're pleased to be working with Burley. Right, just a small correction. I have just been told that they're actually in St Ives, not St Neots. My fault, they both begin with a saint. The wanderer returns, the hero's welcome. So Flynn he'd been picked up, hadn't you, by, I would imagine, a kind individual, not realising that he lives on the farm here. Picked him up here at the top of the farm and then took him to Wood Green Animal Shelter, which is supposed to be a charitable place for rescue dogs. and then gave us a call because he's chipped, and rang us up, said your dog's here, you can come and collect him, but you need to pay us £49. And obviously I wasn't best impressed, because effectively they're saying that if I don't collect him while I argue the fact I've got to pay them, they'll charge me another £24 per day, and after 7 days they'll claim the dog is theirs, and then they'll rehome him and take what they call a donation to resell him. The fact the dog was picked up on our farm, I think, is appalling for an organisation like that, which is a charitable body, is actually using the opportunity to profiteer. But anyway, he's home, completely unaware, aren't you? They've changed his collar.
He didn't have one on.
He did have one on. How convenient. Did you give him the ill-gotten gains?
Yes.
Yes. Had to send my mother to go and pay the fine because I was so outraged that they were profiteering out of dog napping. Well, Kieran's sprayer we use as the master. So all the mapping of all the fields, if we take on a new field, or whether we change a field, for example, we've had ELS in, which has had a 6 metre buffer strip around the outside of a field, or a field corner which now has come out and we're putting land out back into production, or some land's been rented out for horses in the past and now it's gone back into production of crops. You've had to go around and remap all the fields. Yeah. So because it's a 36 metre, you take an 18 metre from the centre, but you need to plus a metre away, because of cross compliance you need to be a metre off the outside of the field. So you're going to run at 19 metres, yeah, but you're telling the machine 18, yeah, and it's going to draw a boundary all the way around, and at 2 points you're going to pick is going to put an A line in, and then you're going to go to the opposite side, put a B in, which then creates you a straight line for all the way across the field is your tram lines.
Tram lines, yeah.
And so you've done that, and we're just going through, so we'll use a USB stick to download off your machine onto the master computer. I then will look to see, I have to delete off the old field boundary, yeah, where when it had grass in, for example, yeah, and then reinstall your new boundary. New one, yeah. You'll check it. Yeah. If we're happy, we'll delete off all the other machines, and then you will have a clean version we'll upload onto all of the machines. So every single machine will drive into the field, and the field will have the same spellings, same words, yeah, same 6 metre, 3 metre, 12 metre, 24 metre, 36 metre lines, yeah, all based on controlled traffic farming, and it's all linked from you measuring with your sprayer. Now, when I first started this in 2012, we tried to do it with a John Deere Gator, and I had this big stick on the front, and I had a ball on the end to try and reach the end, and I was driving around measuring fields. But what we found was the sprayer is designed to cope with the roll, and once we uploaded off the Gator into the sprayer was doing this because it couldn't cope, whereas yours does that, and it's designed to do it, and you get a perfect straight line. Plus, because you're 19 metres away from the outside of the field, any overhanging trees that the satellites would be blocked by, yeah, and the signal, you don't have that issue. If you drive at 3 metres, the likelihood is you're underneath the trees, lost the signal, can't, and then you upload it, and the map goes along like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it does.
So these fuel kits, you've just put this pump on. Yeah. These are our Honda petrol pumps used for liquid fertilizer on the Bowsers during the spring season. Then we use them for going on the chaser bins for cases of fire. And I got this idea from Australia, and we got these small IBCs. We put our own pumps on. We got the reels. We've got a great engineering company built all the frames to go on the horse for us, and these work really well. And Kieran, last summer, had a fire, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
And your combine nearly went up in flames.
Yeah, it did. It was all on fire underneath.
And it was.
And if we didn't have one of them close,
you'd have lost it.
Lost the combine.
Yeah. So actually, considering we put these on, this has actually been a godsend, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because that would have took the field as well.
Would have done. Yeah. Yeah.
So if we hadn't got this with the chaser, because that's the key thing, isn't it? You've got your fire extinguisher, but you've always got a chaser with a combine.
So
It may be at the opposite end, but it's always in the same field. If
so we used 4 fire extinguishers last year, and they didn't do nothing.
and then this came.
That came. By the time we just held it there with the fire extinguishers
Yeah.
until that got there.
Yeah.
Luckily, when that got there,
It
that
sorted
was
it.
the one what kicked.
Because we were running a fire truck on the Unimog before, but the problem with that is if it's 2 fields away,
Yeah.
because you've got another combine in the next door field, it's the time it takes to go and fetch it, to come back to the combine, and the combine's gone by then.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're talking about if you don't do something about it within 2 minutes, it's gone.
Oh, it's gone.
Yeah.
We was
So Carl does our hedge cutting all down here in Cambridge, and how many years you been doing it now?
It's got to be about 5 years, definitely 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah, it must be 5.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And so he comes down, does all the mowing out of the flails, the ditches out for us, cuts all the roadsides and things. You tidied up the mess that somebody else had done the other day, haven't you?
Yeah.
And he comes and cuts all the hedges in a great time, and then we work it back out, don't we, into per acre.
Yeah.
And it's working out at about £4 an acre so far, so that's working out well. And it comes with a setup with the flail on the front, so he can cut all the grass around the outside of the fields once we've harvested. And then he's got the hedge cutter on the back, which is Shelburne Reynolds, isn't it? They're both Shelburne.
They're both, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't run anything else.
You like to go out early though, don't you?
Yeah,
because
the roads are quiet.
The white roads are quiet. You haven't got the people queuing up behind you,
Yeah.
because that's a real problem for you, isn't
It
it?
is, yeah.
You're trying to go along, and all of a sudden there's a car up behind you, and Cambridge is so busy.
Yeah.
And then you're having to move out the way. You're actually not getting anything done.
No, we're starting that turn. I've got 2-3 hours on the road, peace and quiet. So
Yeah.
I'm going to get all the roadsides, and as soon as it gets busy, I can
And that's at 3 o'clock start.
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the time I get into the fields at the back of the yard, beyond buildings and stuff like that.
So when the
it's all
roads
quiet.
get busy, running
go-
off,
yeah, yeah.
you go back into
Yeah.
the fields. Yeah, that
So
makes
it works out
sense.
quite nice.
But you come actually from Nottingham.
Yeah.
You farm up there.
Yeah, we do, yeah.
So how many hours is that from here?
On the tractor, about 2.5.
Okay, well it's not that bad actually,
Not
is it?
too bad,
And these
no.
are 50k.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say that's okay because a lot of people will think crumbs, that's a long way, but actually when things
It's not.
5 hours on a combine to go to Grantham.
If it wasn't for the A1 motorway, I could probably do it half an hour at least quicker. It's
Because
of
you've got to
that.
go round it.
I've got to go all the way around it.
Yeah,
So I have
yeah.
to come through Corby.
Yeah.
And that way, so that adds distance.
Yeah.
Because in my truck, I can do it in about an hour and a half home, so it's not actually that far.
No, so it's quite inefficient when they start putting the motorways in,
Yeah.
or even these A roads where they're trying to make them a motorway,
Yeah.
and they won't allow agricultural traffic on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All because of about, 10 junctions?
Yeah.
If that. It's
Yeah.
not even that far. If it wasn't
No.
for that, it'd be a lot better drive.
So you've just come down, you've opened up our gateways, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah.
And you just
All the gateways, all the tracks, they're all tidied up.
Yeah,
So,
so we know where we are and what we're doing.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's brilliant. Right, and you're going home now, and then we'll see you again once we start cutting.
Yeah, see you in a couple of weeks then.
No, don't say that. I want us to go today. You wicked bugger.
Hello?
How'd you get on?
Yeah, lovely.
Where'd you go? Dis.
This, yeah.
First time on a lorry?
First time in Lorry.
Enjoyed it?
Yeah, it was nice. It's different.
And did you see him tip and load and all that?
Yeah, we loaded. Yeah.
And do the paperwork?
Yeah, did all the paperwork in the office. Yeah.
Good. How you getting on with eating my dinner?
Yeah, it's nice actually. I really
Yeah.
liked it.
Oh, they're in.
Potato.
Have you had yours?
Are you not holding any of this?
Well, he's eating mine. I'm looking after this young whippersnapper. Yeah. Chris, did you break it?
No, I didn't.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
am. Yeah.
You found it like that?
I've heard the rumours of
Don't tell me it was always like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
always.
the famous saying in farming. Yeah, it was like that before I came.
I had like
and the
that.
other one was, it's always been like that. Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Modified.
Yeah.
Modified, yeah. He had cable ties on it, so we just had to like step it back to who uses cable ties all the time.
You found the cable?
Yeah, I found the cable.
Okay. We're going to dig a trench to put the solar cable in.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, I'm frightened.
Right.
Well, luckily my house isn't on this electricity supply. We're putting in a trench so that we can get solar panels running behind. They've nearly finished all the panels in.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So they're waiting for you.
No, it's always my fault, yeah. No, they said
No, I think they're waiting for you.
no.
What do you think, Brooke? Now you're on a 50-50 now, aren't you? Side with the guy that pays you or side with your father?
It's always the father.
I don't know, he looks a bit uncommittal, Chris.
Well, then me and him go
you could have a chat on the way home. So Graham's going to go do a check to see what the moisture is. It's Friday afternoon. The sun's sort of semi come out. There's still a bit of puddle about, but the yard's dry tremendously, so we're just going to try to see what the sample is actually like through the combine. And they'll bring a sample back to Gordon, and who's on his Miss Daisy bike. And then we'll determine what's going to happen this weekend. The forecast looks terrible. Sunday's got thunderstorms. That's a disaster for us because the crop sprayed off its ripe. The pods are going to shatter in a thunderstorm or high winds. We could lose 10, 20, 30, up to 50%, if not more, straight on the floor moments before we harvest it. So we're going to see what the moisture is and then make a decision on whether we're going to go or not. But at least we've got a combine down there. We can go on a day-by-day basis.
So we're here down at Great Everston with the combine, which Michael and James were previously looking at the crop here just to see how it's coming on. Unfortunately, we've come down here today and it's just too wet, and we sent a sample back to the grain store and it's coming back. The moisture's too high to be cutting it. So unfortunately, it's pack up and then back to the yard for the weekend, and hopefully middle of next week, depending on whether we might get to come back down here and have another go at it.
So combine went down to the field, all great excitement, sent one down to try and make a start to see how that went on. Hand sample was 12%. The realisation was that when the combine went in the field and cut sort of 15 yards, it came back at 25%. So that's the end of that. So it was good to just perhaps try the combine, make sure it works okay. Graham went on number 1. It's come back now, parked up. It started raining again, so it would have been a very short amount of harvesting had it been the right moisture, which needs to be at 9%. So that's back. Coming in tomorrow just to finish getting a couple of things ready. Got to clean everything, get the forklift sorted out, etc. So that we're all lined up, ready, see what next week brings. Glyn's in. He's going to be finishing off the front compressor boxes and paint them. So that'll be good, and then hopefully next week, but the weather doesn't look very clever, will be the big off. My dog's back, so I'm pretty pleased about that. He's not so pleased. He's just gone off with my mother and daughter to the vets to have a look at his eye, if it seems to be a problem. So I think he'll be a bit sulky this afternoon. Woke up this morning, got up early just as it was unfolding who had won the election, and that's going to be a realisation of change, going forward, and see how that pans out over the next 3 months. What we need to brace ourselves in change for. So half the country will be disappointed, and half the country looks like they were pleased. So we'll see what the future brings. So signing off for this for today. Disappointing if it's rain, but. We'll see you again next week.